Good morning, grade 11. And then Mujtama Private School. How are you? Let's complete our task of writing story part 2. But first, our school vision is to prepare creative, well-educated students who are able to establish civilized, aware, reserved society, stick to the authentic morals and values in addition to using the modern technology. And our value for this week is generosity. To start our lesson, have you ever read a famous novel? What was it? Well, our objective today to analyze a writing prompt, then plan and write a story in student book page 49. Exercise A. Read the story again and circle the correct words or phrases. And this exercise is related to using linking words. It was a delightful sunny day last Saturday, so Tom decided to go for a walk in the woods. He usually went for walks alone, and he had never had any problems. However, he had no idea how different it would be this time. He had been in the woods for a few hours when he realized that he was lost. It was the first time something like this had happened to him, because he had always been very careful. As he was walking back and forth, trying to find the path out of the woods, he heard strange sound out of the woods. He heard a strange sound like somebody was behind him. As soon as he turned around, he saw that it was a wolf. He nearly jumped out of his skin. It was normal for him to come across wild animals while he was walking in that area. However, he had never encountered a dangerous one until that moment. By the time he figured out what to do, the wolf had started coming towards him. Although he wanted to run, he stayed still because he remembered that in order to escape from a wolf, he had to stand facing it and slowly back away. Luckily, it worked. As Tom was walking backwards, the wolf turned around and left. He felt relieved and began running in the opposite direction. Just then he heard some voices. Fortunately, it was two hikers who helped Tom find his way out of the woods. Exercise F. Read the writing task below and underline the keywords or phrases. Then answer the questions that follow. We are looking for stories for our special holiday edition. Your story must describe a holiday experience which taught you a valuable lesson. What is the purpose of this story? Any story's purpose is to entertain the reader. Who will read this story? The readers of this magazine. What features should you include to make your story interesting? You can use direct speech, questions, exclamations, powerful language, and the elements of plot development. Exercise G. Now do the tasks that follow to help you generate ideas for your story. Imagine that a friend of yours had recently had an interesting holiday experience that taught her a valuable lesson. What kind of questions would you ask to find out about her experience? using the question words in the diagram below. Come up with as many questions as possible. The questions should cover various aspects of the experience that could be of interest. Think of the questions. Here are some suggested questions. Who were you with? Who did you go on holiday with? Where were you? What time of day was it? When did this happen? What happened? Where were you when this happened? What were you doing when this happened? What did you hear? What did you see? What did you say to the person who was with you? How did you feel when this happened? What did you do? How did you deal with the situation? Why did you decide to deal with the situation in that way? How was the situation resolved? Who helped you? How did you feel when the situation was resolved? What did you do when the situation was resolved? How do you feel about the situation now, and how did you change after this experience? From these questions, you can imagine the basic lines of the story. Read the tip below, then go to the workbook, page number 40, 42, and using these ideas to come up with, plan, and write your story. When writing a story, try to keep the plot of the story fairly simple. Use a different paragraph for each stage of the story. Of course, you are going to write 5 paragraphs, and each paragraph has its function. You can start with exposition, then rising actions, then the climax, then falling action, then in the end, the resolution. Number 3, refer to the events in order in which they occurred. 4, refer to how people, places, experiences made you feel. Use past tenses. Use linking words to indicate the sequence of events, to express results, and etc. Vary the language you use. Use short sentences to create suspense. Use direct speech to add realism and provide insight into the main character's thoughts and feelings. Make questions for dramatic effect and exclamations to express emotions. Use colorful descriptive vocabulary. We can call this technique descriptive language. Use adjectives, adverbs, phrases, and expressions to excite your reader's imagination. Use a dictionary or to replace words that are too dull or common and to avoid repetition. Go to the workbook, page number 40. It's an initial plan, introduction to describe the setting, the time, place, weather, and to introduce any other main characters. The main part, it can be 2 to 3 paragraphs to describe the series of events that lead up to the climax. What you did, what you saw, what you heard, what you said, etc., and how you felt. The rising actions, the climax paragraph, and the falling actions paragraph. Then conclusion, describe what happened in the end and make a short comment. Say how you feel about the events described, what you learned from them, and what effect they had on you. Here is a plan for your story. Setting, time, and place. The major protagonists or the major characters. If it's first point of view, you are going to use I. Main part, rising action, then climbing, then falling action. Then conclusion, end of the action, feelings, and the lesson that you have learned. For this plan, to fill this plan, 2 or 3 points for each are enough. Of course, you are not going to write the whole story here, just pointing out the main ideas. And here is a model. How many paragraphs are presented here? Yeah, 5. Paragraph 1 is introduction or exposition. As I was getting off the plane, I had no idea what was in store for me. This was supposed to be the ideal holiday. 2 weeks of sun and fun in Cancun with my friends. I couldn't hide my excitement. Paragraph 2. Writing actions. Things were just fine until a stranger started talking to me in a language I didn't recognize while we were waiting for a taxi to take us to our hotel. I was about to tell him that I had no idea what he was saying when someone bumped into me from behind. When I turned around to look, I saw someone walk away and disappear into the crowd of people waiting for buses. Paragraph 3. Climax. When I turned back again, the person who had spoken to me before was gone, but so was my suitcase. I tried to stay calm and asked my friends if they had seen anything, but none had because they had been looking out for taxis coming from the other direction. I couldn't believe it. My holiday was ruined. Paragraph 4. Following actions. I checked the backpack I was carrying. Thankfully, I had all money and cards in there, so the only things I had lost were my clothes, which could be easily replaced in the town. Things could have been a lot worse. They might have taken my passport or all my money. Paragraph 5. The conclusion, the end of the story, which contains the feelings and the lesson. I soon found some great new clothes at a really cheap price and still managed to have a great holiday. So in the end everything was fine. Needless to say, though, after this experience I always make sure I know where all my luggage is and never leave it unattended when I travel. Now you can write your own stories about a hard situation or a hard experience that you have met before. Thank you for your attention and for your listening, and goodbye.